Today we're going to talk about why we're obsessed with the super antioxidant glutathione. Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Yeagley, and welcome to Sage Health TV. This is Barry Napier, who is our Chief Marketing Director, but today is actually filling the role as a patient who is also obsessed with glutathione and has had some great experiences with it. So I figured we'd start today with talking about maybe starting with what glutathione is. Okay.
I mean, it was something I didn't really know about before we started including it in some of our nutrient IV therapies. So I had no idea what glutathione was. I'd never heard about it.
Right.
So yeah, and why don't you, I think like most people, inform, what is it?
Right, exactly. So it's a therapy we've used for many years. We're talking today, a lot of the benefits we're talking about really can be done if you're taking it orally. We can do it nebulized, but really we see a lot of potent benefits when we do it IV because we can get into really high doses and then you get maximum absorption, really, like 100% absorption. So it is known as the master antioxidant. Literally, it has that name. So you know if it has that name, it's special.
You know it has to be great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's a pretty hyped up name.
Yeah, it's a pretty high. It's got a big,
it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, it's got big shoes to fill. So, and it does. It's been studied for, it's been around in use. I mean, probably at least for 25 years, and it's used for many, many different conditions. But definitely, also one thing I didn't really list here is that it's also used for optimizing, right? So you don't have to have a particular condition. You can just be looking at really optimizing all of these areas if we're talking about, the brain or memory, or the liver, things like that, your immune system. So what glutathione does is basically it helps to detoxify and repair. And so it gets into the cell, actually, and starts to clean it up. And the mitochondria uses a lot of it, which is our little energy powerhouses. And so it gets into the cell and helps to move things out, as well as to, really the biggest part is just repair. It's a super repair, right? And so, I mean, if we just kind of take it from that, and because it goes everywhere, so there aren't that many things that cross the blood-brain barrier, right? So it's one of those things that will do it. And so maybe when we're talking about what it does is it contributes to brain neuroregeneration and experiencing it as far as memory and clarity, what would you say?
Yeah. And so keep in mind, I think it's a little bit dose dependent. And, so, everybody's experience is a little bit different.
Yes.
When we first initially introduced it into our therapies that we're using for me, we introduced it in the regular standard dosing.
Yes.
Kind of post IV in an 8 milliliter not milliliters, or 8 ml. What is it?
Yeah. So it is mils.
It is.
Yeah,
mils.
It's mils. But then it translates to milligrams. So you started at a 1,200 milligram dose.
12. Okay, great. Yeah. And now where are we at?
We are at
8, 16.
3,000.
3,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So more than double.
Yes. Yeah.
And absolutely, it's one of those things from an experience standpoint that you can really feel both kind of immediately afterwards and then over the course of the next day or two even.
Yeah.
Definitely the increased brain clarity, just very, very grounded, fast kind of turnover, being able to think pretty clearly.
Yes.
I would say enhanced creativity, just enhanced thought processing, problem solving, logic, decision making. You probably make better decisions on glutathione.
Right.
So just when it comes to overall your brain state, it feels like, ooh, wow, I'm feeling quite perky, quite focused today. But without any kind of jittery side effects,
exactly,
right? So it's it's a very smooth kind of clarity and kind of a grounded energy versus a jittery, hyped up, manic energy.
Yeah, you might feel even with, definitely caffeine, right? That gives energy. Or even people would say sometimes with B vitamins, we think of B vitamins for energy, but sometimes people get a little not that that's bad, but, for some people, especially if they experience anxiety, sometimes that increased Bs can do that. Whereas glutathione, that's a really good point. Glutathione really doesn't do that. So for people with anxiety, it's actually a really safe option. And I would say too, usually when we're using it, say if I'm adding it in for any of these reasons, which we'll go over, for a patient, you know, depending on the state that they're already in, like if they're already really low, you know, people definitely notice it. Like they're like, that felt good. Are like, that felt good. Now, were they optimized at that point? Because they're working on some things maybe that are bigger, deeper, you know, they might not get kind of like, as you were experiencing, because you're coming from a pretty already like good fit level, right? And so if somebody's working on like a chronic illness or...
Yeah, it might not bring you up quite as high or produce that same level of kind of very noticeable impact, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might.
It might normalize a little bit. But so whether it's bringing you closer maybe what was a old baseline or an old normal, or if it's bringing you above, it's definitely one of those treatments and therapies that I think is noticeable. You know, there is some other therapies that are very beneficial, but they're more subtle, maybe, or you notice them over time. I think when you get into higher doses of the glutathione, it's something that you can pretty much feel right away.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, Barry and I were just discussing, like, you know, normally, of course, they always say, like, you know, like, doctor, treat thyself. And many times we're like the last people that get treated. But I finally did I've had glutathione in the past, and I finally did like a super high dose. And it was like, it was amazing. Like, I'm now, well, I was already a convert, but now I'm like a super convert. Like, everybody should have.
I'm a big believer. I've been talking about it all the time. I'm like, I'm obsessed with it. I'm always like, oh man, you need the glutathione.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something that we've been on a situation here where I kind of not every single week, but almost weekly. Yeah. And it is absolutely, from a productivity standpoint, from just an energy standpoint, getting things done, it's a game changer without question.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. Again, huge fan. So let's talk about, you know, we talked about it's an incredible antioxidant, really gets into the brain, actually, you know, that helps the cells actually repair themselves, memory, clarity. The liver. So the liver, we don't often think about. So liver is a big user of glutathione. So if you've had liver stress at all, and that can be, you know, people might think of it as like, oh, I had a night drinking. That's actually a really appropriate time. It's in the, like, if you have the detox vans, have you ever seen those IV vans? Or they have a detox blend. And then like, so glutathione is part of that, right? But if you have other liver struggles, you know, glutathione is absolutely appropriate. And that might even just be like, if you've had heavy metal toxicity, or you've had mold exposure, right? Or other toxins like chemical exposure, things like that. Glutathione is an absolute, we include it as part of our like heavy metal treatment, right? And then cellular repair. So that is all throughout your body. That's everywhere. So, I mean, it's going to get into every single cell and start cleaning it up, you know, and that's part of the aging. And something kind of cool I was going to tell you today, that in doing extra research for this, that we've also found in the research that increasing glutathione in the body is associated with cellular longevity, which means longevity for us, and increases the tail on the end of that DNA.
Turning back that biological clock.
Exactly. Yes. They call it the telomere, right? So it extends the little DNA tail. So your tail is longer.
I feel it.
Yeah, right. It's great.
Without question.
Yeah.
Biological clock turned back.
Yeah. Barry's really 70, so
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, and then the mold and metal detoxification. So what conditions? So really, I mean, if you think about either kind of, if some of these areas are struggling, like, you know, you've had some viral exposure recently, this is really appropriate for you, right? You know, whether that's Epstein-Barr or the virus, you know, or other types of, you know,
chronic illness or issues where your immune system has been stressed or compromised, and you're kind of in rebuild mode.
Yes.
This can be a big accelerant to kind of helping you get back to a normalized state.
Yes. Yeah. I would highly encourage you. So like if you are dealing with like, you know, long, I think we can say these now, long COVID. If you're dealing with that, you know, this is actually could be a really appropriate way to rebuild you. And then really then thinking about also kind of the larger picture, like if you are actually dealing with a more severe condition, and that's when we get into like if you experiencing Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, those, because it is a nervous system, basically heals the nervous system. In those protocols, you get into extremely high doses, and you're doing it like 4 times a week for those conditions.
Wow, for cognitive rehabilitation, rejuvenation.
Yeah, for like
treatments.
neuro repair, and some really good studies on Parkinson's specifically. So, and that's Dr. David Perlmutter. I think or maybe you mentioned one of you're talking about.
Books,
yeah, he's an incredible neurologist. Lungs, so if you're dealing with lung infection, absolutely. The lungs and, like the liver use a lot of glutathione. And that's COPD, asthma, and then immunity, again, that could even be chronic sinus issues. Some people get chronic infections, and so this can help you kind of move away from that. So other ways to increase glutathione. So there is the oral liposomal, and like there's one that you like, right?
Watermelon flavor.
Yeah, watermelon. Yeah. Yes, that's Research Nutritionals.
Kind of hold it under the tongue in the morning as part of my supplementation routine. And it's pretty pleasant. There are other kind of liposomal ones that we've tried that produce a little bit more of that kind of sulfurous kind of taste in the mouth or whatever. But the watermelon one is pretty good.
It's pleasant. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. And they have an orange version too. And most of the other ones are mint, which mint and glutathione kind of tastes like egg a little bit. I mean, so it's not, they've worked a lot to get the taste kind of down because, taking something that sort of tastes like sulfury egg is not always like the best taste. So, Research Nutritionals is a good.
It's like a built-in de-incentivizer to have the supplement. But like with the watermelon or orange, it's much better.
Yeah. And I agree. Yeah. The watermelon is better. Whey protein actually will convert into glutathione. Your body will take it. But a lot of people have dairy allergies. So, a lot of people can't do whey or they don't want to push whey that much, right? Just because, again, the sensitivities. And then sulfur-rich veggies are like your broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, anything that stinks.
Yeah.
Right.
If you needed another reason to eat broccoli, which is like the greatest of all, here's another one.
Here's another one. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. I used to know somebody who would eat a head of broccoli every single day.
Just munch on it like a carrot?
Take it. Yeah. Bring it in, literally.
Would they roast it?
Not really. No. She would just pull. Yeah. She was... I don't know. She was from Australia. I don't know. Maybe that's something with Australia, right?
Australians they're hardcore.
Yeah.
Australia's no joke.
That's right. Grew up in the Outbacks. Broccoli every day. Yeah. And then glutathione, when we're taking it, either we're doing it IV, ideally you're doing some of the other vitamin cofactors or what we call them. And what that means is like basically vitamins and minerals that your body needs, right, to be able to utilize that glutathione. It will still, if you're not doing that, you're still going to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. But, over time, what's going to happen because your body needs those, if you're not supplementing with them in some way, you're going to start depleting your other vitamins,
it's going to pull it from some place to kind of help.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And so that's your B vitamins and your trace minerals. So ideally, if you're getting IV glutathione at some point with your therapy, you're getting some sort of IV nutrient bag as well. That's really, really common, like to do an IV Myers is typically what they call it, or like a higher dose C with a bunch of Bs and vitamins. Which
is how typically we'll do it.
That's how I
like to do it.
Yeah.
The best of all worlds. There.
Exactly. That's, what I highly recommend is that combination. But if you can't do that, whether it's like time or cost or whatever, then we definitely want to supplement them orally. So at least at a bare minimum, like a methylated B complex and a good trace mineral blend that we would incorporate. And then NAC, actually, I think a lot of people, did you hear about NAC kind of during the pandemic? Yeah. It's
been coming up more.
Yeah. Well, a lot of places ran out because it is antiviral. It turns into glutathione. So your body takes it with selenium and makes glutathione from it. And so it's kind of a cheaper way to actually, because glutathione can be expensive, right? Or, the oral version. That NAC is a little cheaper, was a little more accessible before it ran out kind of everywhere. Yeah, it's a little easier now to get it. And but I think during the height of things, the pandemic,
there was a run on it.
There was a run on it. Yeah, a lot of people ran out.
Toilet paper, NAC.
That's right. There you go. Yes, exactly. So, but this again, like if you're looking to see whatever, you don't like the taste of glutathione or you just need a lower budget kind of approach, NAC is a way to go. So, I think that's it. Yeah. Any last things you'd say about it?
No, I highly recommend it. Would definitely add it to the mix. So whether it's a restore, kind of repair, recover from a situation, or whether it's optimizing, where you really want to move into a state where you can feel your best and perform your best. Also it's great for events. So for instance, if you have a wedding coming up or a party, or you're going
this is the marketing director talking / patient, right?
You're going to Vegas for the weekend. Highly recommend before you go to Vegas, and maybe even while you're there.
And when you get back. Oh yeah.
It's just pure recovery. It's like you can indulge and like experience very few side effects.
Oh yeah, indulge it. I thought you were saying indulge in Vegas.
In like Vegas style or anything that's like that. You know, it's a big weekend coming up.
Okay, I was like, we're not supposed to be encouraging. Okay, if you're doing that anyway, Barry's not saying you should go to Vegas. Yes, you should definitely get the glutathione before and after. And I totally agree. Traveling, because of course, all of us, our immune systems take a hit whenever we travel. And part of that is like, it's usually time changes, being dehydrated, you don't sleep as well wherever you are. Like, usually you're kind of off your supplement game wherever you are as well, like, glutathione as well. So definitely come see us. We'd love to talk to you about a personalized plan and get you started. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye.